Vienna Shola Nation. It is I, your host, Terry Theodore Tugboat, coming back at you with the pre-week 3, post-week 2 fantasy SBA podcast. Wanted to address the elephant in the room here, the new glasses and shades and costume upgrade. We had a package sent to us anonymously by a fan containing several items, including a wig, which won't be worn, but we are very appreciative of the rest of the apparel. Again, not sure who sent it. Would assume it was either Jess or the Sholas who gave us that. So thank you for the kind gift. We have moved on from the Panda Head and are on to bigger and better things. We had quite a number of close games week 2, one of which, by the way, was decided by less than 1 point, but not to spoil anything. And again, wanted to address last week, we had some technical difficulties getting it out to you through YouTube, so we had to go through Dropbox. There were also some scheduling conflicts where the editor had to get to a other event and didn't really have time to clean it up how much he would have liked, but we can avoid that today, and we'll try to get this out to you, as always, by 1 o'clock. It is the morning of the Sunday when we are recording this, so hopefully you will get this before kickoff. Right, before we dive into the Week 2 recap, we wanted to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Raising Cane's. In 2023, before the NFL draft, Bryce Young had a stint working at Raising Cane's to raise money for, I believe, a charitable cause. And now, 2.5 years later, in his third season in the NFL, that experience probably going to come in hand. Because I think that's what he's going to be doing on Sundays from now on after watching his abysmal first 3 quarters against the Arizona Cardinals. Carolina Panthers franchise once again in need of some help at the quarterback position. Feel like we've been saying that for the past 8 years. But yeah, good thing Bryce Young did a little stint at Raising Cane's, because his time in the football industry coming to an end, his experience in the fast food industry going to be needed very shortly. Thank you to Raising Cane's for sponsoring today's video. The results of the Week 2 games will give our viewers some time to skim over these and get a full look of what went down for anyone who may have missed it or no longer be in the league but still watches these podcasts. The Bower of London was on bye, so got a free win this week. Nakua and My Coffee handled VAR artificial intelligence. Lamar, you ready for it? Squeaked out a 1-point win versus Team GABA. We Are Not Worthy smacked Jay Stu by almost 50 points. Jay Stu, the low scorer of the week. Hope I Emeka It last week was on bye and was the low scorer, so if she had played any team in the league, she would have lost, and was the third lowest scorer this week. Lost to Philly Special, the alpha dog. Al has asserted himself as by 35 plus. Hope I Emeka, as previously mentioned, a last place candidate, it seems like, at the moment. And then Brady with a phenomenal performance of 150 points, despite some very interesting circumstances. And you can see the original projection there. He was supposed to lose by 40, ended up winning by 30. So a massive turnaround in that game. And then Bill's Bumbling Bobcats was flattened by Bo's Bandits. The Alliteration Bowl in the SBA League. All right, going to go matchup by matchup here. Nakua in My Coffee handled VAR artificial intelligence by 50 plus. Nakua in My Coffee, a phenomenal outing from his receivers in Jamar Chase and Puka. Jamar 36 points and Puka 29. Josh Allen, the bust of the week for VAR artificial intelligence, usually carries the Bills' whole offense. You can see he was projected 20.24 points, only finished with under 12. The Bills' defense really carried them through that one, along with James Cook, but Josh Allen, the bust of the week, you could say. And this result looks exactly like Chelsea and Fulham matchup almost, where Chelsea beating down on Fulham and the complaints about the officiating, hence the VA artificial intelligence. Lamar, you ready for it? Again, 0.22 points. They took down Team GABA by. Hope for Team GABA going forward, considering I believe there were only three teams that scored more points than her. She just happened to be playing one of them, and part of the reason was Lamar Jackson's 26 points and 4 touchdowns against the Cleveland Browns led Lamar, you ready for it, to such a high point total. And for Team GABA, it was Roma Dunze that was doing the majority of the scoring. Team GABA, unfortunately, the first overall pick in this year's draft, Ashton Genty, scored almost 10 points lower than his projection, under 8. Not really doing much in that Raiders offense right now, as predicted when we mentioned him as a bad pick and a reach in our post-draft episode. That prediction seemingly coming true. Jay Stu, in a sibling rivalry, had it handed to her by We're Not Worthy. Cortland Sutton and Derrick Henry bombed for Jay Stu this week with under 2 and under 3 points, respectively. So while We're Not Worthy's point total was solid but nothing to write home about, it was more the lackluster performance from their opponent that led to the victory this week. And We're Not Worthy led behind 26 points from Devon Achane. Hope I Emeka it. Did not Emeka it versus Philly Special. Albion has established himself as the alpha dog of the league at the moment, hence the A on the logo that coincidentally represents his draft grade and team performance so far, followed behind a very impressive running attack from Jonathan Taylor and James Cook, who both came just shy of 30 points and close to doubled their projections. And then for Hope I Emeka it, Mark Andrews almost laid a goose egg this week when he had 1 catch for 2 yards and then 2 rushing yards and only 1.4 fantasy points. Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am fell at the hands of Brady Ashola behind, like we mentioned, interesting circumstances for Brady. Malik Neighbors and Amon-Ra St. Brown, the 2 highest fantasy scorers of the week, both on Team Brady, both came up with 39.20 exactly, just shy of the 40-point mark. But Team Brady in some hot water going forward. We mentioned post-draft, hated the RJ Harvey pick. Me personally, Terry Tugboat. That's seemingly true so far, as he has done nothing in that Broncos offense. Brady relying on 2 rookies to lead his backfield, RJ Harvey and Travion Henderson. And unless he either makes a trade soon or claims a difference maker off waivers, he could be in trouble, especially with his quarterback, Joe Burrow, now being placed on IR by the Bengals, has a toe surgery scheduled and will miss the next 3 months for the Bengals. Brady, he may be 1-1 and he may have scored close to 150, but that ship is sailing the complete wrong direction at the moment. Bills Bumbling Bobcats and Bo's Bandits both didn't score that much, but Bills Bumbling Bobcats was our second lowest scorer of the week, with a horrible performance from his tight end, Evan Ingram. Well, Bo's Bandits had Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey both finish significantly above their, not significantly above their projections, but above their projections, and their projections were high at that, with 17 and 22 points tallied, respectively. And now we get to the week 3 matchups, my predictions for this week. And diving right into them, Philly Special, Albion, the top performer so far, against the Battle of London after a strong 20-point outing on Thursday Night Football for Al's players. I will be picking him in a battle of... It's only been 2 weeks, but you can see there, we only have 2 2-0 teams remaining after this week. We'll have at least 1, maybe 2, but again, typically you see 4 or 5 at this point. So strong distribution of talent throughout the league, and hence why so many teams are even in terms of record and scoring ability. But I will be taking Philly Special in that one. Nakua in my coffee, I will be picking over Bills Bumbling Bobcats. Nakua in my coffee, not a strong Thursday night performance, but I do think his roster is significantly more talented than the Bumbling Bobcats. Maybe squeaks one out, but don't think there's a world where Bill emerges victorious in that one. Hope I Emeka it. I will predict to get her first official win versus Lamar. You ready for it? After a game-changing, almost 40-point performance on Thursday night from Hope I Emeka it. Projected to lose by 9 currently, was projected to lose by significantly more on Wednesday night before the Thursday night game. But now she's gotten herself back into it. I think she pulls it out in this one. And Lamar, are you ready for it? The other 2-0 team falls to 2-1. VA artificial intelligence, I have losing to Lam Bam, thank you, ma'am. This one projected to be a squeaker, a 2-point difference between the projections. So this is kind of a pick 'em game, and I will be picking with Lam Bam, thank you, ma'am. J Stu, I have losing to Team GABA. Team GABA gets her first win. I believe, one of only 2 0-2 teams. 3 2-0, 2 0-2, the rest 1-1. So very interesting there. Team GABA, though, I do believe will get their first win this week. You can see projected to win by 13. J Stu, I'm not sure where the ceiling is for this week. There's just not a whole lot to be excited about in Stewville at the moment. So Team GABA is my pick. And then obviously Team Brady, shocker, is going to get the win. Again, still more effort than Josh, the bye week team. So Brady will improve to 2-1. And then in our final game, Bo's Bandits projected to crush We Are Not Worthy, and I would absolutely agree with that. And I believe that Bo will dominate in our final game of the week. Bo's Bandits, a team to look out for as a potentially quality playoff team that makes a deep run. All right, and that will do it for this week's podcast. Again, trying to keep these as short as possible. The goal would be between 10-15 minutes for you guys. Think we achieved that today. So that's good. Again, that will do it. Thank you to Raising Cane's for once again for sponsoring today's podcast. And good luck to all. Week 3. Week 3, the week a lot of people consider to be you find the best from the rest. That's when the contenders start to emerge, and we will see who they are in the Week 4 podcast.